Every single night, in one of the greatest cities on earth, something strange happens at exactly 11 o'clock. The sky closes. Not weather, not tradition, but law. Sydney's main airport is legally forbidden from flying between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., one of the strictest curfews in world aviation. Right now, somewhere at Kingsford Smith, a pilot is racing that clock because miss it and the plane simply doesn't leave. And that is why 44 kilometers west, in what was farmland, Australia has just finished a $3.6 billion answer, a brand new international airport with one defining feature. It is never ever allowed to sleep, because it's never required to. No curfew, no caps, 24 hours, forever. So stay with me on this one, because this story is so much stranger than just a city builds a second airport idea. This is an airport Australia argued about for 90 years. An airport with no control tower. And wait till you see who taught them that trick. First, why does a modern megacity switch off its sky at all? Look at where Kingsford Smith sits, jammed between Botany Bay on one side and dense suburbs on every other. Hundreds of thousands of people live under the flight's path. So, in 1995, the government didn't just discourage night flights, it passed an Act of Parliament banning them. Since then, Sydney has run a full international hub in a straitjacket. 69 hours of forbidden sky every week, plus a hard cap on movements every hour of the day. And the straitjacket produces genuinely absurd outcomes. Singapore Airlines' last flight out of Kingsford Smith leaves at 7:10 in the evening. Because everything must be safely gone by 11. One delay ripples into cancellations, strandings, chaos. The airport handles over 40 million passengers a year through a keyhole. Everyone knew the fix, a second airport. Hence the embarrassing part. Australia has known for 90 years. The idea was first floated back in the 1930s. The actual site, Badgerys Creek, was chosen in 1986. And then, nothing. 4 decades of political trench warfare. Governments picked it, unpicked it, studied it, shelved it. While the empty land just sat there, waiting. Construction finally began in 2018, which means the paddock waited longer for its airport than most countries take to plan and build 3 of them. One thing they did get beautifully right, the name. It's officially Nancy Bird Walton Airport, after a woman who got her pilot's license at 19 in the 1930s, the youngest Australian woman ever to do it, and flew medical missions into the outback when flying was still considered borderline suicide. The airport that took 90 years is named after someone who refused to wait for anything. And her airport carries one more act of rebellion. Because when they finally built it, they left out one thing every major airport on Earth has had for a century. Look at the skyline in this next shot and tell me what's missing. Take it in. So what did $3.6 billion buy? A site of 1,780 hectares, a runway 3.7 kilometers long, big enough for an A380, paved partly with recycled municipal material, one integrated terminal, domestic and international, under one roof, designed to start at 10 million passengers and scale to 37 million before they even build runway 2. But here's my favorite thing about this entire airport. Let's go back to that image. You see it now. There's no control tower, nothing. No glass box on stilts, no highest point on field, there isn't one, nothing. WSI is the first major airport in Australian history with no physical tower. Every aircraft is guided by a digital aerodrome center at Eastern Creek, kilometers away, watching through arrays of cameras and sensors sharper than the human eyes. And if that sounds familiar, it should. This is the exact technology a certain Scandinavian country pioneered to run 45 airports from one Arctic room. Now the mechanism. Why the never sleeps is worth billions. The moment WSI opens, Singapore Airlines launches a daily A350 leaving Sydney at 11:55 p.m. A departure time that is literally illegal across town. Their pitch: spend the entire evening in Sydney, wake up for breakfast in Singapore. And the passengers are only half the story. Freight moves at night. That's how next day deliveries exist. And the curfew has strangled Sydney's cargo for 30 years. WSI's around-the-clock freight precinct is projected to expand the entire city's air cargo capacity by a third. There's even a brand new budget airline, Zinc, being founded specifically because the airport exists. They are not buying runways, they are buying the night. But history tells us it's doomed and designed to fail. Or is it? Are you familiar with Mirabel? I'll tell you all about it, but first, look how big Sydney's bet actually is. Because Australia isn't just building an airport out there. Around it, they're building an entire city from scratch. It's called Bradfield. Tens of billions of dollars of roads, rails, and neighborhoods all wrapped around the runway. Think about how backwards that is. Every other city treats its airport like a noisy neighbor it got stuck with. Sydney is building a city where the airport is downtown, the motorways already open, the metro stations are already standing there, finished, waiting for trains. Okay, now Mirabel. Come back with me to 1975. Montreal in Canada does exactly what Sydney is doing right now. Same playbook, line by line. Old airport is full, check. Build a giant beautiful new one outside the city, check. Promise it'll own the future, check. It was called Mirabel, and on opening day it was the biggest airport site on the planet. And then the one thing that mattered never showed up, the train to the city. It was promised, it was never built. So getting there meant a long, miserable drive, and passengers did the math and simply refused to go. Airlines drifted back to the old airport one by one. Within a couple of decades, the terminal that was supposed to own the future was demolished, and Mirabel was left handling parcels. It's the most famous failed airport on Earth. The name pilots still use as a warning. Comment below if you'd like more detailed videos focused on good old Mirabel. Now, notice the similarities. WSI is nearly 50 kilometers from central Sydney. Similar to what Mirabel was, the WSI train is delayed till 2027. That means the airport opens before its own metro line. For the whole first year, it's buses and motorways. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Because it should. It's the same movie, playing over and over again with the same opening scene. Here's the honest counter-argument though, and it's a strong one. Mirabel was built far from everyone. Badgerys Creek is built in the middle of somewhere in Western Sydney, home to 2.5 million people, the third largest economy in Australia, which has never had an airport of its own. So, Mirabel bet on a people-coming concept. WSI is betting on people who are already there. Here's what's clicked for me at the end. This isn't really an airport versus airport story, and the $3.6 billion didn't really buy runways and terminals. Kingsford Smith can renovate forever, but there is one asset it can never ever build, because an act of parliament forbids it. Time. 69 hours of sky every week that only one airport in Sydney is allowed to use. That's what Australia just spent 3.5 decades of arguments and $3.6 billion to own. So, back to 11 o'clock tonight. The boats go quiet. The great airport shuts its sky exactly as it has for 30 years. Except now, for the first time, 44 kilometers west, the lights stay on. July 26th, the first freighters started flying through Sydney's forbidden hours. In October, the passengers follow, on planes leaving at times that used to be against the law. And that country that pioneered an airport with no control tower. It runs 45 airports from one room above the Arctic Circle. That is an Infrascope story for another time.